let's play.
Hey, corner's off.
Let's play.
Hey, corner's off.
Hello, Frog fans. Welcome to Post Game Beers. I am not Kyle Malloy or Yellen K, but I am your host tonight, JD Sailors at JD Sailors on Twitter, joined by the producer Ray Cartwright, the uninformed frog Garrett Evans, and making his triumphant return from the dead, Martin Guerrero. I think we should start with Martin.
Let's fucking go.
Martin is back. That means we're talking hardcore baseball tonight. Martin, where have you been?
Just waiting for the day we talk about baseball again.
We've been talking baseball for the last month.
Frog ball.
Well,
And so what I'm hearing is Martin is anti Preston Morrison and anti Jason Whitty. Jansen
Whitty. Jason Coates. Finding two guys there.
Jason Coates, yeah.
The heat is back, huh, Ray?
Dude, well, yeah, that, and I worked 14 hours today. How about that?
That is
good for you.
Significantly more than I worked, although today was a pretty busy day. But yeah, guys, the heat of summer is back. We just have pretty much 1 month to go before football, which is a good segue into our opening topic tonight because if you're joining us on the live stream on YouTube, first of all, we really appreciate it. Second of all, you can see in the upper right-hand corner, we have a guest, but he's more than just a guest. So how do we want to explain this? So post-game beers will not be covering football full-time this fall. That's kind of the announcement here. However, the LDC will be covering football just through a different avenue, led by the uninformed frog, Garrett Evans. So right now, I'll turn it over to you, Garrett. You can kind of explain what's going on.
Yeah, so for those of you who haven't caught it yet, we are doing the Uninformed podcast. We are 9 episodes deep now. And it's like you said, Jacob, this is strictly a football show. So we're just talking TCU football. We're talking the national picture around college football. We're getting some goofs and gaffs in where we can. But again, the focus there is going to be all football. So it's going to be myself. It's going to be Catchup, who is on the live stream today.
I'm glad you said his last name so I didn't have to.
Yeah, right. So Kit's here today. Introduce him to you guys, to the LDC audience. Jake Larson is our other co-host. He unfortunately couldn't make it this evening. But yeah, we're going to be keeping up with football. We're going to try and do at least a weekly show throughout the season. If you want to catch up on the roster, if you want to catch up on transfers, any type of your off-season fun, go back and listen to the past 10 episodes. There's some fun interviews in there. Jacob was on last week, talked about 2015 campaign.
Yeah, that was a lot of fun.
Dude, it was. And like you said before, I've forgotten just how much was going on just drama-wise that season.
Yeah, I think that's a pretty good listen, in my opinion. It was a lot of fun covering that season in depth. So
good walk down memory lane for us old guys and a good introduction for the young bucks out there who maybe weren't following TCU football back then.
Yeah, so the Uninformed Pod, as Garrett is calling it, is going to be the first podcast under the umbrella of LDC podcasts, if you will. Hopefully the first of many, but now we have 2 podcasts under the LDC umbrella. We have Post Game Beers, and now we have the Uninformed Pod. And like Garrett said, that one will cover football, which I think us as a group, like us 5 as a group, are pretty excited to not cover football and leave it to you two, the true experts. And Kit, I want to hear about you. Like, what's your background? How did you get into covering football the way you do?
Well, I don't. Expert's a generous term. I think more extreme enthusiast is probably a better description.
There you go.
But yeah, very excited to be here. Very excited to be a sort of part of the family. Jake is too. Unfortunately, he couldn't make it here tonight. But yeah, I mean, just had a lifelong passion for college football. It was basically the only thing we watched in my house growing up. And TCU, I mean, I basically made my college decision off of the Rose Bowl, and have never regretted it since. Even during the depths of the bleak 2023 season, which we've already talked about at length throughout the offseason. So very excited to be a part of things, and known Garrett for a very long time, and looking forward to getting knowing all y'all. So and to take the football burden off y'all's shoulders, because if y'all aren't into it. So
well, I will say, like, jumping on last week and talking football kind of got me fired up for it. So I may or may not be inviting myself from time to time.
You're welcome on, man. Fall camp starts technically started today. So good time to be doing this, and we're only 4 weeks out. As crazy as it sounds. So
yeah. So if you're subscribed to Post Game Beers, please go look for Uninformed Pod and subscribe to that. We'll be promoting the each episode through our Twitter and everything else, just like we do with Post Game Beers. We're just kind of splitting up. We're defining each podcast, right? Instead of mixing all the sports into Post Game Beers, we'll keep that one more for baseball. And on that note, it doesn't mean Post Game Beers is going to be off air till next spring. There's still going to be, fall updates, and we'll do interviews still. It's just not going to be on a consistent basis like it is during in season. So it'll be more as needed. But football season, Uninformed Pod will be your go-to for everything football.
Yep, God's favorite sport.
Does that pretty much wrap up everything? Did I miss anything?
No, that's it, man. We're excited about it. You guys jump on anytime.
I do have a quick question for one uninformed frog. Dude, just how excited are you as a member of the burner community to get a shout out from TC's latest commit today? That was pretty insane. That he said, "Dude, man, the burners go crazy."
Dude, it's the power of meme magic in college football is finally coming to fruition. It's so funny, man. It cracks me up how active for such a small alumni base. It feels like the TCU burner community is wildly active online. So that's a lot of fun. You gotta love it. Shout out to all the burners out there. Keep doing what you're doing. Respect.
And speaking of that, Kit, you should promote your Twitter as well, so people know where to find you.
Yeah, I mean, I'm not as active as Garrett is, but I'm at Ross Snacklock. Had that handle forever. But if you're looking for more creative content, definitely follow Garrett. But I'll get on there. I'll mix up a fair amount.
Awesome. Well, welcome to the family of networks, family of two now, hopefully more in the future. But yeah, good to have you guys on board as a pod, and look forward to listening in each week throughout football season.
Sure thing.
All right, boys, let's we got a lot to catch up on in baseball, and I'm glad Martin's back. This is going to be a Martin heavy segment now. Where should we start? Should we start with draft or transfers, or should we didn't even really talk about the end of the season. We can go in a lot of different directions.
Martin, where do you start?
I think we should start with the coaching staff changes.
Okay. I'll just let you take it away.
Yeah.
Yeah, so we had hitting coach and associate head coach TJ Bruce left us to go back to Long Beach. He took the head coaching job there. And to replace him, TCU called back a familiar name, Bill Mosiello. He was the.
Now, hold on, wait. I haven't heard that name before.
He was the Ohio State head coach for the last 2 years, and before that, he was the TCU associate head coach for like a decade.
It's starting to sounds familiar now.
I mean, we've had a Mosiello on the roster the last 20 years.
Legacy.
Yeah, this
word
was,
of the day.
Real. Yeah,
I think next season would have been the first season, so they had to bring him. They had to bring Bill back.
They had to bring him back. We almost lost that streak. And then recently, TCU hired Jake Silverman from Washington. He was the associate head coach over there as the new director of program development. From what I've heard, he's going to be majority recruiting on the road.
So
How does this
lessening
change
the burden from Delora?
Yeah, how does that change his role?
I mean, Dolores gonna be a recruiter as well. I don't think anything changes for him. I think it's more to get somebody else on the road during the season, and it probably takes more of a load off of Kirk because Kirk is the primary recruiter out of the portal. So I would imagine Silverman is going to be the primary recruiter for transfer portal with it being so big nowadays.
Yeah, Kirk's been busy. Kirk's been on the road this summer.
Yeah.
Went
Yeah,
to the
so
Cape, saw new TCU transfer Jack Bell. He was in Seattle, saw new TCU transfer Cole Kramer.
Yeah, let's go there next. Let's briefly kind of run down the transfers coming in and just I don't know, we can talk about each one for, a brief time.
You want me to just run down the list of all of them?
Yeah, just start with what you would think are the most notable ones and we can go from there.
I mean, there's 7. I think I could just name them all where they came from. Tommy Lapour, he's a right-handed pitcher from Wichita State. He's probably the biggest. What would you say the jewel of this transfer class?
Yeah, I saw he was one of the top overall recruits in the transfers in the transfer portal.
According to 6-4 Analytics.
Yeah.
So if anybody doesn't know 6-4 Analytics, their stuff is their recruiting or what do you call it? Their rankings is mostly based off stuff that players have done. Now with TCU, it seems like their transfer class, they went really young. It's a bunch of freshmen.
Mm-hmm.
So they haven't really done that much. I wouldn't look too much into where TCU ranks as far as 6-4 Analytics.
Kind of a little different from last year when we're bringing in a lot of grad transfers and, older guys.
Yeah. I mean, they definitely I mean, maybe they didn't think it worked out so well, so they kind of changed things
Martin,
up.
it makes me think, I'm glad you said that. It kind of pairs well nicely with the incoming freshmen that they also have coming in.
Yeah, a bunch of freshmen coming in with a huge recruiting class. It does go well nicely. But let me finish this list. So then you got Cole Kramer. I think he was the first commit. He was a third baseman at Washington State. He actually played at Lupton in a midweek game. Then Trey Newman, right-handed pitcher from California, or Cal. He pitched for Team USA. Colton Griffin, second baseman from Stephen F. Austin. Gianluca Shin, left-handed pitcher from Washington. Isaac Cadena, he's a catcher and an outfielder from Ohio State. And then finally, Jack Bell, infielder from Texas A&M.
Okay, so I know it's it's early and all this just happened, but you mentioned Lapour, but who amongst those guys do you see right now having the most impact? I think early indications are Jack Bell might be starting at second, but it's so early that can't really pencil that in. But I think he's at least got to be in that discussion right now, right?
I think you're going to see an overhaul of the entire infield, except maybe shortstop because Silva's coming back. But, nobody really played very well last year that had their feet on the infield, right?
Yeah, right.
So they brought in a ton of guys. And there's another guy that I haven't mentioned yet who's going to be up for those infield spots. Colton Griffin, Jack Bell, and Cole Kramer. As far as the transfer portal guys, I think there's going to be some competition at all 3 infield spots. Maybe even shortstop. We'll see.
I know Jack Bell's having a pretty good summer there on the Cape.
Is he?
I see him getting retweeted a lot by Codball or whatever, so he's got to be.
So
nobody look it up.
Yeah.
Oh, is he not?
Right.
He's not. I watched the game. He plays on Carson's team. They make him bunt a lot for some reason.
It's all about fundamentals out there on the Cape.
Codball, small ball.
I guess.
All right, so let's talk about. We had the draft. Peyton Tolley just signed minutes before we came on air. The deadline's this Thursday, so it was starting to kind of get to the, is he going to sign or not? But he did. He ended up signing with Boston. Cademan Parker still hasn't signed. But let's just recap the draft and where, kind of our recruits from high school sit post draft and guys who are, besides potentially Cademan and now Peyton Tolley, who's going to be leaving after the draft.
Yeah, I'll talk about the guys who got drafted. Out of TCU, Peyton Tolley was 50th overall by the Red Sox, signed overslot for $2 million.
It's pretty impressive that a college junior signs overslot in the second round.
I mean, I think Tolley was one of the most underrated guys in the whole draft. You had MLB.com had him ranked like in the 70s, 80s as far as draft prospects. I think obviously he's much better than that because he was taken 50th and given overslot. I mean, he's got one elite pitch. The slider's good. If you can teach him a changeup, he can be a starter in the MLB for a long time.
Did you see the photos today that he put out on Instagram of him signing with the Red Sox and all that? Doesn't he just look like a Red Sox?
Yeah.
Like when you think of a stereotypical Red Sox looking player, I think Peyton Tolley fits that to a T.
David Ortiz.
Twins.
Yeah.
Can't tell
the same, right?
All right. What else happened in the draft?
Zach Coyer. Everybody knows Zach Coyer he pitched 1 year at TCU. Adam McLennan. He was signed by the Kansas City Royals. Cademan Parker was drafted by the Brewers. He has not signed yet. I got more thoughts on him later. Kyle Ayers, also a guy who transferred into TCU from Houston. He signed with the Arizona Diamondbacks. And then Hunter Hodges was a undrafted free agent signed by the Mets.
Okay.
I think that's pretty much it. Cademan Parker, last I read, Milwaukee they drafted their fourth pick. I think it was like a third rounder or one of those poverty picks that they give to poor teams. Compensation pick.
Competitive balance.
Yeah. So one of those poverty picks, they haven't signed him yet. So they're saying that if Milwaukee signs him over slot, that they won't have much money to give to guys 10 through 20 in those rounds to give over slot. I don't see Cademan Parker signing for $150,000 to leave TCU. He has 2 years of eligibility. His parents went to TCU. His parents met at TCU. I think if they show him the money, he'll sign, but I just don't see it.
Plus, wouldn't it make sense too, coming, another season further removed from Tommy John, to go out and showcase your stuff and then come back and get drafted as a junior? Or, technically.
Yeah, a red shirt junior. Yeah. He'd have another year of eligibility after that.
Yeah, it looked like he was really starting to come on towards the end of the year from what I can remember.
Yeah, some of the the stats that he put up were not bad, as far as the strikeouts and the hits allowed. I think he was a little bit wild, which, he didn't pitch for like a year and a half. So
yeah,
I think coming back another year, he'll be sharper. And then some of the whiff rate stats and the shadow zone stats on his breaking balls were really good. So I think if he were to come back, I think he'd put up big numbers for TCU.
Didn't at the draft combine he stand out with the spin rate on his his slider?
I'll take your word for it.
Oh, cool.
So to cap off the draft, I know that there was a couple really high school recruits that did not sign it. Do I have that right? Strawn Sider, Noah Franco.
Mason was it Brasserfield?
You want to start on that?
Yeah,
Brady?
let's go there.
Well, first, Noah Franco was not drafted. I imagine that his team told any major league team beforehand, if you're going to draft me, this is the number that it's going to take, and that scared a lot of those teams away, and he ends up at TCU. Martin? He is the 7th rated recruit in the 2024 class.
Yeah, as by perfect game, yeah. So if you haven't heard of Noah Franco yet, he was a pretty big deal. He committed to TCU a few months ago. Originally, he was the number 1 player in the 2025 class.
Yeah.
He's originally from Downey, California, but he played all of his high school baseball at IMG Academy. That's kind of rare. Usually you see guys like transfer after like their second year and just play like 1 or 2 years at IMG. And then those guys usually end up getting drafted and signing like Blake Larson from Iowa, another TCU commit who actually did get drafted and signed.
He was really the only draft casualty, right?
Right.
Okay.
Usually you don't see a guy from IMG who reclassifies to get to graduate a year earlier and still make it to campus. So if he would have stayed as a 2025 guy, that's funny.
That's a good comment.
If he would have stayed
It
as
has
a
has
2025,
to be a money thing, right? Surely.
Or I don't know. Sometimes guys just want to go to college. I mean, you're kind of seeing that more and more.
We talked about that, last week. Yeah, I didn't realize he was the number 1 ranked player in all of Florida. That's awesome.
Yeah, he's a big deal, man, and he's the kind of guy that doesn't come to campus historically.
No.
He's a two-way guy. He can play first base or outfield, and he's a pitcher.
Without making any comparisons to game or ability, it's very Luken Baker-esque, where Luken Baker was, a 100% chance he was going to get drafted and go pro if he didn't make the outright decision, I'm going to college.
Right. Right. He's also 6'3", so.
Yeah, and Martin was already starting to get. He's a two-way guy. It's probably not going to be the last time Luken Baker's name comes up with this guy. But I'm not making any comparisons about game ability or anything like that. Just kind of circumstance in the draft.
Yeah.
The other big guys that TCU ended up getting to campus was one was Sawyer Stroh-Snyder from Brock High School. I think it's like outside of Weatherford.
Yeah, just to the west.
Snyder? Or what did you say?
Stroh-Snyder? Stroh-Snyder?
Oh, there's another S in there. Okay.
Yeah.
I'll get that down before opening day.
So
another
he
S
was
sneaks in there on you.
Yeah.
He was ranked 101 by perfect game for this high school class, but MLB had him 153 for the entire draft. So I think the pro guys liked him more. He was a draft eligible sophomore. So I think that helped get him to campus. He's like a power left-handed swing. He was 99 on the mound, I think.
Jeez.
Yeah, so he's got a plus arm, plus power. Hopefully he can turn that into game power.
Yeah, this lineup needs that desperately.
But he was a guy that went to the MLB combine and flew up the draft boards. I was kind of scared that he was going to sign with somebody. But
dude, I did too, especially after seeing he was on a podcast with Baseball America. And dude, they were just talking. They even brought Todd Frazier in to interview him. The Todd father.
Ooh, once Todd Frazier comes in to interview you.
Dude.
Well, he's
like a huge Cincinnati's Red fan.
Yeah, his family's originally from Cincinnati.
That's pretty cool. Any other names out of high school?
Yeah, Trevor Baumler out of Iowa, right-handed pitcher.
Yeah.
He's ranked 80th, but his brother was originally committed to TCU a few years ago.
Carson Palmer, right? Or is
I-
that the Vandy guy?
Look, if his brother would have made it to campus, I'd remember his name, but he didn't. He signed for like $2 million to go play with the Orioles, so I'm not going to take time to remember his name.
Gotcha.
But his younger brother made it to campus.
May have been Cole.
Who cares? Nolan Traeger, Jax Traeger's brother. See, that's a brother who made it to campus. He was ranked 174. He's a catcher, right-handed hitter out of the Houston area. He's pretty good. I mean, I think this whole class is pretty good.
Yeah, it sounds like this is a class to be really excited about.
Y'all haven't really even talked about Mason Brassfield.
Go for it.
He's got nasty.
The
He's got
mic is
nasty stuff.
open.
The command's a little iffy, but that'll Kurt can work on that. But I mean, this stuff is elite. Elite.
And then Martin, you mentioned it earlier, but it's Anthony Silva's coming back, which a year ago wouldn't even have been a thought. But as time kind of went, you started to see like the tides changing on that. And it was still, throughout the whole season, it's no, that's not going to happen. But then once the season ended, is like, well, maybe. And then he kind of hinted at it on Instagram that he was leaning towards coming back. And then I think after day one of the draft, or maybe day two, he made it official. So crazy. We're going to have Anthony Silva for another year when we just kind of penciled him in as a 2-year guy pretty much this whole time at TCU. So,
yeah, this day and age with NIL and everything, and you can kind of be picking. You can say, give me this or I'm staying in college, because who wants to give it up? He went to Omaha his freshman year. He had a dream season his freshman year. He knows what that feeling is. Maybe he didn't want to give it up yet to go ride a bus.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, and he had a down year last year, no question about it, but I can't see him having back-to-back down years. He has too much talent for that to happen. So
the way his offense profiles, I think it's going to be a lot better for him to play under Bill. Bill is all about on-base percentage and working counts and getting deep into counts and being aggressive with the pitch, with your pitch, right?
Yeah.
Waiting for it. So I think Silva's more of a guy that can succeed in that kind of offense.
Yeah, I think TCU is kind of ambush the first pitch kind of philosophy.
Yeah, I mean, they kind of sucked when they had 2 strikes on them. It was kind of like that bat was over.
Yeah, they didn't really ambush much last year. I mean, we talked about it all season, how bad the offense was. So
they're one of the worst offenses with 2 strikes on them.
Yeah. Well,
that'll change next year, boys.
Yeah, it seems like things are really looking up right now. I mean, I think we would agree that bringing back Bill is a positive after losing TJ, right? I mean,
absolutely.
Yeah, you can't argue with, his resume here at TCU. So
we had a couple of big JUCO guys as well. If you want me to talk.
Yeah, of course. Let's hit it all.
Preston Gamster, he's a shortstop out of Paris Junior College. Originally, I think he's like from Highland Park, but he's a guy who's pretty good. Put up pretty good numbers at Paris, and I don't think their region is that region that plays against West Texas and New Mexico schools with that high elevation, and everybody hits 400 and slugs 800. But he put up pretty good numbers there. And he was ranked as one of the best defensive shortstops in junior college baseball last year. I think he was like 7th or 8th. So the glove is good. That's another guy who is going to be competing for an infield spot next year or in the fall. And then there's Luke Greenlee, right-handed pitcher from Cisco Junior College. He was one of the top relievers in his region. I had his numbers. It was like 1.65 ERA or something. 13 strikeouts per 9. Pretty good arm, kind of like Zach Coyer.
Yeah. And then I guess just to cap off all the news recaps. We had a couple transfers going out. Logan Maxwell, who ended up at Arkansas, and then Ryder Robinson goes home to BYU. Any thoughts on that? And were there any other transfers that I'm not thinking of?
Yeah, you want me to hit all the transfers and where they went?
Yeah.
So, like you said, Logan Maxwell went to Arkansas. Ryder Robinson went to BYU. Jack Basir went to USC.
Okay.
Chase Hoover went to UC Santa Barbara.
Okay.
And Jax Lewis went to Georgia Southern. Apparently, his dad was like a Georgia Southern legend. He holds a bunch of Georgia Southern pitching records.
They brought him home.
Then guys who haven't like landed anywhere yet: Storm Heyerholzer, Gabe Miranda, Jake Dewar, Fisher Ingersoll, Andrew Mosiello, and Holden Harris.
Okay, so
Did,
a lot of guys
Ryder-
coming in, a lot of guys going out.
Ryder's playing with his brother.
Yeah,
brother-
exactly. His brother was a freshman last year, right? Up in BYU.
No, he was like a fifth-year senior.
I think
Oh, really?
I think Ryder will develop to be a really nice player. I mean,
Yeah.
TCU is always going to recruit. We're always going to fill holes, but that one to me is the one that sticks out. Like, man, I wish we would have held on to that one.
You know what's crazy? Ryder's brother also played at BYU as well, and his last year was like 2014, which feels like it was just yesterday.
Man, it
Yes,
does.
It really does.
So, Martin, do you have any thoughts on those guys leaving?
Not really. I wish him all the best.
Yeah. Yeah. I'm excited to watch Logan play Arkansas next year. I think that's good. I think it's a good move for him.
With that short porch in right
Yeah.
field.
Yeah. Yeah.
hmm
Yep.
Dude, yeah, 20 home run season incoming.
Yeah. We're the podcast of home run predictions. All right.
Ah,
Never miss.
Hey,
Yeah,
holy
never miss.
that 30 mark this year.
how many did he give up? Maybe combined.
I don't think he gave up a lot. Maybe early in the season.
Most of his hits were home run.
And then finally, I guess if you have the list, great. If not, we can just name guys off the top of our heads. But graduates, not going pro in something other than sports.
That's
As
funny.
90% of all NCAA athletes do.
Yeah.
Peyton Chanier.
And
Luke Boyers.
Zach Morris. Yeah. Luke Boyers.
Yep.
Curtis
Luke Boyer.
Byrne.
Curtis Byrne, Peyton Chatinier. Gosh.
I don't know if Ben Hampton is out of eligibility, but I haven't seen like he's in the portal or anything.
Yeah, that's the one I was mulling over in my head. If he's, I think that was his last year, right?
Had to be.
Perhaps.
Are we
This is
done with the
just,
COVID year?
say this is just a reminder of
No.
how young our team was last year.
Dude, A&M still has like 26-year-old baseball players.
Golly, I'm so done with the COVID year, man.
It's so stupid.
It was cool. It was cool, like right after COVID, when we were getting guys who we thought were long gone, like Halen Green, for example. Like, oh crap, we get another year of Halen Green. That's awesome. But now it's like, all right, you guys need to go do something else now. You're too old.
Oh, Dallin Leach got a job.
Well, congratulations to Mr.
Sheriff-
Leach on
Sheriff
his.
Leach.
All right, what other news and notes on this catch-up episode of Post Game Beers do we need to hit?
Carson Bowen started at catcher in the Cape Cod All-Star game.
Yeah, he's having a great summer, right?
Mm-hmm.
Very good.
That's another guy
like.
like Silva who had a down year, but he's too talented to do that twice in a row. So
Right. I mean, if you let me talk about his down year, I don't think it'll ever happen again. I mean, he had 2 surgeries in the offseason.
2 surgeries and a shit ton of lineouts.
Didn't play summer ball or fall ball. That's the longest he's been without playing baseball.
Yeah.
Learned a new position. He's a guy who's been behind the plate his whole life, and TCU asked him to not do that for half of the season. But yeah, he's playing very well in the Cape.
So let me ask you about that with guys coming and going. What is our first base situation as of right now? Surely we're not
Good
going to run
question.
Carson back out there again, right? Like
No, I
just
don't-
for his sake, not to say anything about how he played at first, but just get him behind the plate where he's at his best and let him focus on one thing.
Yeah, I think he'll play most of his games behind the plate, maybe like 90%. Maybe he'll get some DH appearances, but with Traeger and maybe Cadena.
What about
back
Noah
in the-
Franco? Does he play first?
Yeah, no Franco plays first. Zach Wattis, I would imagine he'd get a shot. Maybe Brody Green might get a shot as well.
Yeah.
He's like 6'5", 6'4". He's really tall.
Yeah.
I mean that's the guys that are in the mix at first base right now.
All right. So we feeling good right now about where we stand? I mean, we talked about the high school draft class, making it to campus. That to me is really exciting. But how do you guys feel overall?
Hold on. Before you start that, I had a few more things.
Sorry. Yeah. Wrap up.
Ben Abelt made Team USA collegiate team second year in a row. Carson Cormier did not pitch for TCU, but he also didn't transfer. Apparently, he redshirted. He was a West Coast League All-Star. It's another summer league.
Okay.
He had a 1.65 ERA, 16 innings pitched, 23 strikeouts. That's a big arm. I would expect a lot from him next year. I don't know if he was injured or something, but that's a good player. If he wasn't, I would imagine they would have, how do they say, encouraged you to transfer?
Yeah.
Like on NCAA?
Yeah.
And also Chase Brunson had a back surgery. He had a back injury late in the year this last season. He got that all fixed.
And to answer MK's text that everyone ignored, I think that was to repair the injury he had in the season, right?
Right.
Or MK.
Yeah.
I don't think it was anything new.
Yeah. All right. So back to my question about, just generally how are we feeling? I don't know. It's hard with football coming around the corner to focus. Like to me, I can only really focus on like one sport at a time. And my brain is starting to shift to football, but it's nice to do this catch-up episode and just think about what should be a really strong spring for TCU next year.
Dude, I am feeling great.
Absolutely.
Go ahead,
Martin kind of laid. I'm just going to say, I'm glad Martin kind of laid all that out. I was kind of in the same boat. Wasn't really thinking about it too much, but you look at the incoming freshmen, and it's hard not to be pretty excited about it. Damn, let's go. Let's play baseball.
Dude.
Yeah. Well, there's going to be fall ball in the fall, but we'll be covering that. And since as a pod we're not going to be doing football, we can do an occasional fall ball episode, bring on some guests, and stay baseball centric.
Dude, I will say you should have seen me and Martin's text over the last probably month and a half. I think all we've exclusively talked has been transfer portal and draft.
Damn, you know what we should do is get a group text.
If we had, what a novel
if there was
idea.
like a way for all of us to pitch in that conversation, that'd be pretty cool.
See 2 minutes ago when updating Chase Brunson's injury about MK's ignored text.
I didn't know. I looked it up today. I didn't know the answer.
Hey, just me and Martin like to nerd out.
All right. I think that'd pretty much do it for this episode, unless you guys have any final thoughts. I got a Rose Bowl meeting with Iowa to get to as the number 4 seeded UNT. Green.
I took UNT. I was with UNT, started with them, and recently took the head coaching job at Texas.
Dude, A&M offered me the OC position, and I mulled it over.
Oh, shit.
Baylor offered me head coach, and I said no to that one real quick.
Come on down to Aggie
I think
land.
his name. I think his name's Landon Sides.
Dude, he won me the Heisman.
Dude, he won a Heisman with me. That dude's a cheat code.
He's
in the game.
an absolute cheat code. Just Tyreek Hill. Unbelievable.
Speeds at like a 99. Put him on the outside. You can just hit go routes
Dude,
all day.
He had like 6,000 yards and 45 touchdowns, something crazy like that for me. It was insane.
There's one game I had like 10 touches because the defense wouldn't adjust, and I could just hit
Yep.
Y.
Yep.
Hit Y.
Yep,
as
same.
he goes. But I am very excited. I am especially excited for Tommy Lepore. That's a kid that had a little bit of a rocky start to his freshman year, but he was humming by the end of the year with Wichita State. In fact, led them to a victory over East Carolina that probably did East Carolina in. Didn't it cost them a host, or did they host? Gosh,
They did host. They had somebody on the committee, so they were.
Oh, that's right. That was the big year to have a committee member.
But yeah,
He's
Tommy
a
Lepore,
workhorse, dude. He was pitching like 115 pitches, 120 pitches there at the end of the year.
and then he pitched like the next day or something. He started the next game.
He had Keith Law in a tizzy.
Yeah, Keith Law was pretty pissed. But yeah, he's a huge barrel-chested fucking grizzly bear on the mound. So I looked him up in high school. He wasn't like highly regarded as a baseball prospect. He was playing 3 sports. He was playing baseball, football. He was a tight end on the football team, and then he was like an all-state wrestler in the state of Missouri. And
Holy crap, dude! I just Googled this guy.
Yeah.
Dude, me too. He's a
Oh my
hoss.
God.
He's
he's a beast.
he looks like an
crap.
outside linebacker, not a pitcher.
Isn't it? So he wore 49 at Wichita State. I mean, he's kind of built just like Peyton Tolley.
Dude, for real.
You know what's funny? He was originally committed to Cincinnati, and then Wichita State lost like their entire team, and I guess he got an offer to go to Wichita State, and they were like, "Hey, you'll play here."
Yeah.
And so he went to Wichita State.
Yeah,
This wrestling picture.
I forgot
this
what
wrestling
happened in
picture
Wichita
cannot be the
State.
same guy.
The entire team left.
There's
Yeah.
no way that this picture of this wrestler is the same Tommy Lepore.
Yeah,
He looks like Hulk Hogan.
yeah, dude, he's a beast.
What the
He's
hell?
it was kind of funny looking at his like advanced numbers because so he had the lowest BABIP in the league.
Oh my gosh, that wrestling pictures of
You
incredible.
seeing this?
Dude. He's got
Yeah.
cannons, man.
For real.
That is unreal. That dude's the one who's going to be slinging the baseball for us. Okay.
Dude, we have to try to interview him, but I might be too scared to show up. I'm not gonna lie.
even through a screen. Come on,
Yeah,
it's
he'll
just
give me a
through-
noogie through
StreamYard.
the screen.
Yeah.
He's gonna shove me in a locker for sure.
What do you do? Distance running? Ha! All right, boys. Well, that was fun. Let's go ahead and call it there. Yeah, not much else to say. Good job, Martin. Appreciate all the information. Good to have you back. Garrett, good luck with football season. Can't wait to tune in to Uninformed Pod weekly. Are you guys going to do weekly shows throughout fall camp too?
Yeah, we sure are. We're planning weekly shows through fall camp, and then in the season, we're probably going to be releasing Monday nights. That is the
Monday
plan
nights.
right
All
now.
right. Well, tune in, and we'll be tuned in for sure. So, yeah, with that, boys, appreciate it. Have a good week.
Before we sign
Go
off.
Frogs. Nope, too late. I've already done my
No,
outro.
you can't, dude. I can't stress the
You couldn't
importance
work
of how
whatever you
big
have
it was
to work.
to get
You
this.
couldn't work this in the
Oh,
last
and that-
40 minutes.
I couldn't because you're
All right.
Well,
Let's go over to
we'll
Ryan.
argue about this off air. Go to break.
Spit it out.
Come on, Ray. Wait, we're waiting on. Everybody's waiting on you.
I'm holding dog.
Dead air.
Come on, professional broadcaster.
No, no. You have the floor.
In 3,
Spit it out.
1.
This is podcast.